Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of Oxnard Live. I'm your host, Daniel Chavez Jr. Around the holidays, depression and stress seem to be at an all-time high with the holiday parties, shopping, financial hardships, and so much more. And around COVID, it gets a little bit harder. Joining me tonight is life coach Yadi Fernandez Valencia, who will be talking about how to deal with those stressors, how to deal with depression, and how to promote a healthier mental health way of life. Thank you, Yadi, for joining me tonight. How are you?
Hi, thank you for having me. Excited always to be here with you and just be a part of any way that I can contribute to our community. So, thank you. I am recovering from COVID, so I have a slight little cough still, but very thankful with God for, having just experienced minor symptoms. And yeah, here I am.
So, lack of a better words, I should do most of the talking just to make sure that you don't talk too much.
However, you guys want, it's fine. Yeah.
Uh, um, so let's get right into it because, like I said, around the holidays, the depression, the stress, it's at an all-time high. When you Google search holiday stress and depression, the big key factors are shopping, attending holiday parties, financial hardships, and so much more. But with COVID, that changes it all. People are still getting that depression, that stress, but in this way, um, now they're experiencing lockdowns, shutdowns, loss of jobs, and so much more. But before we jump into that, I kind of want to ask you, uh, life coach. When I think of a life coach, I think of a hippie in hemp clothing with the flower tiara. And this is not a dig on anybody that dresses like that, but you don't look like the traditional movie TV show hippie style. What made you get into being a life coach?
Yeah, that's for sure. Coaching in general, you don't know how common it is for people to say or give me a side eye, like, well, what exactly is that? We've heard it, we've seen it sometimes in a couple shows, but not a lot of people, especially in our community, have a lot of one on one experience with a life coach. And so it's just like when you think of a sport, a soccer coach, a basketball coach, and here it's about life. And my specific type of coaching that I do, it's ontological. Say it with me, ontological.
Logical.
Yeah, which is the study of our beingness, meaning how we are, how we show up in our environments, whether it's at work, at home, in our social groups, how we show up with ourselves. So how are we being in our lives? And as important as it is to have a fitness coach or have a vocal coach or a sports coach, how important is it to have that kind of guidance in life when we're ready to take on different projects that we can have going on, whether it's career, whether we're going through a divorce, whether your kids are growing up and you're having a hard time dealing with your teens, whether you're just ready to take on a dream that's kind of been sitting on the shelves getting dusty for a long time and you're just like, okay, I really want to explore that option, and so a coach really supports you in getting clear with yourself about where you are at, what you're wanting to pursue, and how to go about it. So it's very empowering, to have someone hear you out, not judge you, and support you with resources and being a soundboard more than anything for where you're at and where you're heading in life.
So you brought up a good point in regards to the culture of the community. The city of Oxnard, it's over 76%, 75, 76% Hispanics. Culture in general, whether you're Hispanic, African American, Asian, sometimes white, Caucasian, um, you don't really have those options or opportunities to open up because for males in particular, it may not be very masculine to talk about your feelings or talk about what you're going through. Um, how do you plan on really breaking down those barriers to really have the males to feel comfortable enough to talk about it and not feel demasculated.
Yeah, and it's interesting to hear that's your perspective on it, because a lot of people will disagree. But yes, in our culture, in our Latino culture, there's a lot of machismo. There's a lot of, yeah, talking about my feelings, getting a life coach. Yeah, that's a little fruity. They can look at it that way, just as you're explaining. And that is actually one of my biggest commitments coming into this field. As a Latina myself, it's really to break down a lot of those stereotypes and generalizations of this work and this kind of resource and support, because it takes so much away when we stigmatize it that way. Instead of, man, I've had the experience of having a life coach. I was able to break through X, Y, and Z, and I am living a much more empowered life. You should try one out and see how you feel. And I've been working with a lot of people in our community, especially, I reach out to people in the scene, people, in leadership positions, because I know that if I can reach them and support them and help them see how powerful and empowering this work is, they're only going to refer more. They're going to help me get the word. And whether I end up being the life coach of someone or someone reaches out to a different life coach, my goal is for more and more Latinos to utilize this resource, because I know what it does for people. We should all have that and have someone in our corner that really helps out us live out the lives that we really want to and be intentional about it.
Now, what do you say to those that have already preset judgment go walking into it? They automatically feel, oh my God, I'm going to be judged. I have to be careful what I say. They're going to go and tell my business to everybody else. And then you kind of also look at it, well, if you're a person that's in the public view or an elected official, a leader or something, there's some information that you don't want to get out to the public. And that fear, how do you reassure those people that, look, this is a safe space, whether, and I'm assuming you're doing it through Zoom because of the whole COVID thing. Um, how do you ensure people that they do have a safe space and their information is not going to be leaked or spread to the public?
Yeah, that is the very first step and part of creating that relationship with our clients. It's part of our code of ethics. I am a certified life coach through the ICF, which is the International Coaching Federation. So I did get my credentials through an accredited program through the ICF. And that is part of our code of ethics is, building rapport and the safety and privacy of our clients. So there are people in our community, and you'll never see me post about, oh, today I had a session with so and so, because it is private. And that is something that I make very clear, on our very first conversation with any potential client is our conversations, our sessions are going to be completely confidential. I am never going to share anything about what the client shares in their session. And I'm not even going to say I'm coaching X person. If my clients choose to, and they have many of the times chosen to share, yeah, I'm coaching with Yadi and she's really good. And, they'll even write things on, social media and stuff. That's fine. But I'm never going to, share, not because it's something to be ashamed of, but just as privacy, just like with any other profession. So if you are, seeking out having a life coach, usually it's going to be referral based. Someone's going to mention someone they are working with, and I'm sure they're going to be honoring their ethics, the ethics code as well.
Oh, thank you for that information and the background on that. So let's jump into dealing with stress and depression. Like I mentioned, stress and depression tends to be a lot higher around this time. And as we experience from March until now with the COVID, the lockdowns, people losing their jobs, businesses closing, schools closed. So interaction for even our children is very limited with other children, and families staying within their own little family pod. to help stop the spread. What are some techniques that you can provide to people so that they can deal with the stress and the depression of not being able to have contact with other people within that space, that physical?
Yeah. If anybody who is hearing this, you just saying that, all of those things and reasons for us to experience some sense of overwhelm and anxiety. I mean, it's just so much. It just gives you what we're all experiencing at different levels. I don't know anyone during this time that has not experienced some level of anxiety due to the uncertainty, due to, yes, having to social distance from, family and friends. So let me give you a one-on-one right now, and I want you to do this with me. And this is something everybody can do. It's completely free. Feel you free to utilize this as much as necessary during the day. But I'm going to ask you to sit up nice and straight, which you're pretty much already doing. Plant your feet. So if you have them crossed, uncross them. And whoever's watching us, please come along with us and do this. So sit up nice and straight, feet on the floor planted, hands straight out on our lap. And I want you to just get present. Don't think about the conversation. Just be present here with me. And we're going to take a couple of deep breaths. And yes, we all know how to breathe. We're constantly breathing, yes. But how often do we stop to take breaths that really connect us to, our heart, to our lungs, to where we're at? So I'm going to say inhale, and you guys are going to inhale nice and deep, like if you're filling up your lungs, like if your lungs are balloons. And when I say exhale, you're going to breathe out, not like you're blowing out a birthday candle, not like, but you're going to open your whole, like your throat, like it's going to be like a real release of energy and breath. So, okay, inhale. Exhale. Again, inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. One more on your own. And usually it works best if you close your eyes when you're doing it. But I bet you're feeling a little sensation in your body that you were not feeling before you did that. Yes?
Yes.
And of course, we're on, Facebook Live. It's a little different, the, scenario. But when you can relax somewhere in your house where it's kind of decluttered a bit, and you can really sit there and do this for at least 10, 12 nice deep breaths, it will really help you focus and help you feel centered and more at ease. So this is something that I know seems super basic. Like I said, we all know how to breathe. We're constantly breathing. But it is a tool to help in a moment of a lot of stress, in a moment where you feel not focused, have a lot to get done, but don't even know where to start. I suggest that's a good time where you can take a moment to do that. And maybe after that, start jotting down like a to-do list that's reasonable, not like you're going to pay all the bills, clean the restroom, make dinner, and have an outing, something realistic, because that's something we don't tend to often do too. We get overwhelmed with these crazy to-do lists that we usually don't get everything done. And then we judge ourselves for it. We get more stressed, and, we live in that cycle often.
Now, you talked about before the breathing exercise, and again, I encourage everyone to do that. It really does feel good. But you talked about being in the present, in the now. Now, people can argue, well, of course I'm present. I know that I'm here. Can you elaborate a little bit more what you mean about being in the present? Because everybody can say, well, of course, I'm in the present. I know what's going on. We're having this conversation. That's the present to me. But I'm pretty sure there's more to it than just that.
Yeah. Yeah. So a lot of the times you'll know, especially if you deal with anxiety or stress, what usually happens when you're experiencing anxiety and stress. You're thinking about the future, what that's going to look like, everything you need to do still, or you're thinking about the past, the what ifs, the man, I regret that, um, tragedy, events that have happened that were painful. So being in the present means you're here, you're in the now, which is empowering because only when you're present to your right now and what you can do right now, what you do have control of, then you're empowered to take action on the things that matter and need to get done in your day-to-day life. But when we get focused on all the stress of what I want to do in the future or the past, then you're not here. You're actually in the past or in the future. But being present means really being present, like me here with you. I have other stuff to get done today, but regardless of those things, I'm not worrying about them right now. And it's obviously an exercise you have to do because how often can we really do that? A lot of the times our brain is going, or you're thinking about how you're being, how you're being judged, what's going to happen later, all these things. And you're not here with the person in front of you. And that can be very, very relaxing too. And it can bring a lot of joy to your life when you actually make that conscious choice to be here now, starting with the person in front of you, whether you're home or you're visiting with friends, but being present to them.
Now, let me ask you because, like I mentioned already, during COVID, many people lost their jobs. Businesses are closing or shutting down, scaling back, as well as department stores. Uh, how do you reach out to those individuals, the one, the single mom or the single dad that lost their job? They have kids to support. The bills haven't stopped, which me personally, this is a personal thing that I believe it's absolutely ridiculous that these businesses and utilities, all these things think that we can still pay for all of this like normal when many people lost their jobs and unemployment is not working the way that it's supposed to be working. I apologize for that little soapbox, but that's just a very frustrating thing for me that everything is shutting down around us, and yet bills are still coming in like if nothing is wrong, like there's no pandemic. How do you reach out to those people, the ones that lost their jobs, the ones that are stressing out? How do I feed my kids? How do I keep the roof over their heads? What advice do you have for those individuals?
Yeah, that's a really, really hard one. As far as just to think and sympathize, with the people that are struggling through that. And I come back to thinking about being present, again, because yes, you're not in the best situation right now, and there's a lot of things to worry about, but also knowing that there's a lot more people and this is not just you should help a little bit in knowing, okay, this is not something that I've done or caused for myself. This is something out of my control. The pandemic itself, being in that situation, is something completely out of my control. So getting present to right now, what resources do you know about? What resources can you seek out? Where can you get information about resources where you can make a plan today to try to have access to those resources? Because all we can do is what is here for us today. So of course it can even sound, well, how do I tell someone not to worry about the future? That's very hard to do. But also, I always look at worry. I've said this with clients before. Worry is like putting a down payment on furniture you're not going to buy. Why do I say that? Because you don't know what is going to happen in the future. You don't know for sure. You know, a lot of people are in that same boat, and all we can hope right now and put pressure on is those in leadership to come through for our American people, you know, and have a plan of how to help, you know, whether it's continuing to waive, you know, the evictions and the payments and all of that. And hopefully, you know, there's a solution with regards to funds and really helping family, and not just, you know, huge businesses, but actually the families and the people needing, like you said, food, and, you know, that are worrying about paying their mortgage, you know, in a month or two, or whenever, you know, the things in place right now are over with. And also, you know, and I'll share, there's quite a bit of different techniques to just help soothe the anxiety, because that is all we can do in these moments is, you know, wait. Like you said, unemployment. I know tons of people that have filed, they've been approved, but the money is yet to come. You know, how do you address that? I mean, it's really out of the control of a lot of us. Thank God, you know, they are doing a lot with regards to rent and all of that, and people not being able to be evicted. But also, like I said, looking for more resources, and hopefully we can do that even with citizens of Oxnard. You know, if we can start sharing more resources on there for people to seek out. If you need someone to talk to because really the anxiety bottling up within you, you know, reach out to me. I'm happy to support you and recommend, you know, people to other life coaches as well. But there's definitely a lot we can do to try to take care of ourselves right now. And that brings me to self care, which is another one of those words that people kind of hear thrown around, but they're like, what the heck is self care? You know, and especially this day and age, there's so many of us playing Superman and Superwoman, and we are depleted. Our energy tank is, you know, whether it's because you have kids at home, you're trying to help get through the school and the Zoom, you know, and dealing with bills, you know, frustrated with your significant other constantly being there. You know, there's so many things happening. So we have to really accept and get comfortable with self care, which is taking care of yourself. What are the things that help you feel better? And this is not about luxury, like, oh, you know, a spa day, or not that, but what things really fortify you? What things makes you feel strong? Whether it's your spirituality, whether it's exercising, whether it's being in communication with somebody that has a good, you know, is a good listener. It's doing those things and not letting that take a backseat, because that's what a lot of us are doing right now. It's, I have to clean, I have to help the kids. I don't have time to take care of myself, as if it was a luxury or a cherry on top, that, or a reward for you to be able to keep being Superwoman and Superman in your household. You need to take care of yourself. You need to keep feeding your faith, your, you know, mental strength, your body physically. So we need to put in place things, and we're all different. So that's going to look different for all of us. But I would love to share a couple of things that really support in, you know, taking care of yourself, relaxing you, getting you in a state of mental clarity so you can keep at it, you know, day in and day out.
Now, I'm pretty sure there are many people out there very similar to my situation. I am one of those essential employees. I work for LA Metro. We continue to run our transportation system. It's been running nonstop. We've slowed down service a little bit, like many transit agencies, due to funding. But you know, I was working 7 days a week. Now it's scaled back down to 6 days a week, which doesn't sound like a big deal, but to me that was big, because doing nearly 2 months straight of no day off is very stressful. I have two little ones at home, a wife, and then extra things that I do, sitting on the planning commission. Then I started this show. So it was those stressors just building up. And, you know, I'm not saying I'm the only one, and there's tons of people. So when you made those comments about we need to kind of take care of ourselves a little bit, our mental, our health, body health, um, those resonate with me because of the fact that I've been in those situations of dealing with home life, dealing with work life, dealing with extracurricular life activities, and really not having somebody to talk with. And let me ask you, you talk with a lot of people. Do you get couples that come to you and say that they can't talk to each other, that the communication is not there, that not that they don't trust the other person, but just that they don't feel that they can fully open up? Is that something that you see?
Oh, yes, I see that a lot, a lot, a lot. I just had a client this morning where that was a big thing for her. And she's under the realization of, accepting her partner as someone she completely loves and adores, but he was not brought up in a way where he's very communicative, and she very much is. So she's accepted that that can still be your soulmate. You can still have an amazing relationship, but because if you have a special yearning or connection with people to talk a lot more about your feelings or certain emotions, you can have that, and you can have a support system for that, or a best friend or a sister or brother or somebody else that you can do that with. It doesn't necessarily have to be your partner, or it doesn't mean that's not the right partner for you. We're all different human beings with different likes, dislikes, strengths, and weaknesses. And, ultimately, when you are with someone, if the love is there for that to be, your significant other. But that doesn't always mean you're cut from the same thread and you're exactly the same. Most often we have really huge differences with our partners, not the concrete, like how we want to raise our kids and, maybe our spiritual beliefs and stuff like that. But we'll have very different contrasting likes and dislikes, and that's okay. Yeah.
You know, there was first and foremost, there was a reason why I wanted to do this episode of talking about mental health. Um, Recently, a coworker of mine that I worked with, um, she actually committed suicide, and it was a result of depression. And when you leave a job or you leave your community that you see every day, you feel like you have nobody there. And that was pretty much her mental state, was that she had nothing. She couldn't see her coworkers anymore because she didn't work with us anymore. And we are continuing to work and, just, uh, continuing with our lives. And I wanted to do this show because of the fact that um, days leading up to her taking her own life, I kept thinking about her and kept thinking that I needed to reach out to her. And unfortunately, I never got that opportunity to do that. Um, so that's why I really wanted to do this show. And the fact that um, there are techniques that we can have to be able to reach out to friends and loved ones and let them know that we're there. And yes, it's a little bit harder when we have this COVID thing. Um, but I just wanted to share that was the whole backing behind this show. And I guess, and maybe you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I guess trying to have a buddy, it's very similar to like maybe AA, that you have kind of like a sponsor, somebody that you can go to, someone that you can speak with. Eh, Is that would be considered very beneficial to somebody's mental state? Just somebody just listening, because I guess ultimately that's all we really want, is just somebody to listen to us, not necessarily respond, but just listen to us, right?
That's, yeah, and I'm so sorry, for the loss of your friend. But definitely you're bringing up such a huge point, about depression and suicide and connecting with others, and that for sure is something that I have as one of the biggest things when we practice self-care, when we practice just looking out for each other, when we practice, being responsible with our connectedness, because none of us will survive here, just looking out for ourselves. We are interconnected being. We have to be connected. We survive off of what we do for each other, and that is something that is super key. And I invite everybody that to be vulnerable. Being vulnerable is not what is normal, what we're used to, in our society and community. But being vulnerable means sharing ourselves, and that's one of the biggest things with dealing with anxiety, stress, and depression is sharing ourselves, sharing our story with others. People care. People want to hear about how you're doing, not just like, oh yeah, I'm good, I'm fine, everything's okay. Yeah, we're COVID. No, people really want to hear, how are you doing? Like, is there something specific challenging you right now in life, in your relationship? People want to do that. And we want to do that for others too. So it's so crucial how you're saying you were thinking about that friend and you wanted to reach out. But we live in a society where it's very, surfacey. Hey, how you doing? Oh yeah, I've been good. But there's not a lot. No, how are you really doing? How are you dealing with not being at work? How is that weighing down on you? Well, maybe you should talk to someone, whether it's a life coach, a therapist. And that's key to address here too. If you're having really, really bad symptoms of depression or any thoughts of suicide, you need to reach out for help today. If you know somebody is struggling with that, you need to get them help. You need to, obviously, you can't make someone get help, but you need to really step up and be in their corner for them and say, here's a phone number, or here's for the hotline, or here's someone you need to speak with. You need to schedule an appointment with your doctor, whether it's the chemical imbalance and medications are going to help, or just talking to someone, seeing a therapist or a coach. You should really, we need to get rid of that taboo and, stereotypes of what it is to seek help and support. There's nothing wrong. We're human beings. We all need to grow. We all need to share what's going on with us in a deeper level and have those empowering aha moments of, okay, what could I do about this? What is really weighing me down right now in life that I can powerfully take charge of? Whether it's, how I feel about myself physically, whether I have legitimate health concerns that, I need to start addressing, whether it's I haven't talked to my mom in months or years, and that relationship, estranged relationship is heavy in my heart. How do I even start to mend that? Real things that we all have going on, whether we share or not, they're there. And it's a powerful and brave thing to seek help and just talk, find someone to speak with and share yourself with. And especially with family and friends. If there's anybody right now on your list of family and friends that you worry about, you should reach out to them and say, hey, I'm here. I'm no expert at anything except I care for you. I'm worrying about you. Let me know how I can support you right now.
Now, what are some like telltale signs that you can recognize from people that may be going through some difficult times, but don't want to open up about it? I know I have a few coworkers that will always give me the exact same answer every single time. I have family and friends that do the exact same thing, the very same answer, even though I know that they are going through some things, but they'll always just say, "I'm okay. I'm fine." um, are those the ones that we push a little bit to really like try to get them to open up a little bit more, or what's the best approach to really deal with those people?
I think, it's hard to say for everyone, particularly. Some people really don't like to open up. It's very confrontational. It's that feeling, you know. But it really starts with creating that rapport with someone for them to feel, that it's safe for them to open up with you a bit more about what's really going on with them. So I think if you have a close relationship with them where you feel it's safe to just say, I know you have more going on than just I'm fine. I'm really here to hear you out because I want to support you. That usually helps kind of bring down the wall a bit because now you're telling them, I see you. I know you have more going on than what you're leading on. So share with me, I'm here. And it's us creating and bringing down those barriers of communication, especially in our community and in the Latino community. It is okay to share. And a lot of the times, what will help is you sharing a bit of your own challenges. That usually will really help somebody feel safer about sharing with you. Because if they have a perspective that everything's fine and dandy with you, it's a little intimidating to say, well, for me, it's kind of falling apart over here, you know?
Great. Earlier, you talked about the style of coaching that you do, and then you also brought up of giving the impression of being Superwoman and Superman, and you made a comment in regards to the coaching that you do that really how others perceive you or how others look at you. Can you talk a little bit about that and what that actually means?
I think you're talking about, yeah, how we can get caught up in, we have it all together or we're doing well, and it's the looking good. So many of us struggle with that, with this perception about the perception others might have of us. We hold ourselves to these standards of people, especially if you're consider yourself a strong person. It's really hard to be vulnerable and show I'm in need of something. So we keep it going, keep it going, keep it going, even in times of struggle, because you don't want people to now either pity you or get you off of that pedestal of they have it all together, they're so strong. So I think that's what you're referring to when I said that, is that a lot of the times we live in that space and it makes it hard for us to, like I shared earlier, break it down a little bit and be more vulnerable and authentic with others and let go of, well, this is what it's going to make me look like if I seek help, or if I talk to a coach or a therapist or to my friend and tell them what's really going on, or if I ask for help.
So it's really about ultimately putting on a mask, playing a different role of yourself, which I'm assuming it goes towards like, okay, this is how my friends need to see me. This is how my family needs to see me. This is how my coworkers need to see me. This is how the general public needs to see me. So that's really what you're.
Yeah, and I've seen that happen so much. That's probably one of those themes that keep coming up with a lot of my clients. It's a lot of people live where I have my persona this way here, and I'm this person in this place, and I'm this person in that place. That's going to drive you nuts really quick, and it's going to get exhausting. It's when you're able to marry who you are into just that one authentic person and show up being comfortable showing up as that person everywhere. Now, this is something a lot of people already have handled. Toodles to you, but a lot of people really do struggle with that a lot. You feel like a fake. You feel like you're being a fraud. You're caught up in how you have to look. So you maintain those images in all these different, areas of your life. So it's not until you're able to break through and really accept yourself for who you are, your strengths and your weaknesses, and you're able to be with that you're able to share yourself in that way evenly, in all your social groups and places. And
So,
that's important for having peace of mind and peace in general.
so how do you deal with that? And then I don't want to have you give out other secrets because I want people to be able to reach out to you for help. But how do you deal with that? Like, if you have like 5 different images that you have of yourself, I'm assuming it is very easy to lose who you really are deep down inside. So, how do you find that person? How do you find who you really are as a person and be able to merge all of those personas into that one?
So we're talking about multiple personalities here. No, I'm just kidding. I just play. No. So yeah. So in, for example, in the coaching that I do, one of the questions would be, who are you really? Like, who would, if you can have this just one person show up with, 5 different qualities, what would those qualities be that you can feel empowered to own those parts of your personality, and they can show up everywhere and you would feel good. So whether it be, being in integrity with your word, somebody that's always truthful, someone that when they say they're going to do something, they do it, of whatever qualities really you feel can support you in all the areas of your life, and shedding back anything that is not. Because a lot of the times we create these ways of being out of, we think the people in that group expect us to be a certain way, but those are just judgments we're having. And then we show up that way in that group, but really none of them are asking you to be that way. You've just put on the hat and assumed people like seeing you with that hat, But yeah, there's a lot that goes on, and we're all so different, and everybody brings different conversations. In my specific type of coaching, I don't tell people what they're going to work on. A lot of the times they want me to, like, well, what do you see I should work on? And I say, nope, you're the driver of your life. You tell me what you're observing about yourself that you would like to work on, and I have the tools to make that happen. But you're going to tell me what you want to work on, because this is your life. And that's, step one of owning your life, owning your power, and transforming whatever it is you want to transform.
Awesome. Thank you for that, all that information, Yadi. And I just want to do a quick recap. To deal with stress, anxiety, and depression, breathing exercises. And you demonstrated that breathing exercise, fill up the lungs, sort of like filling up a balloon, take it in deep and not blow it out like a candle, but really release that air.
Yeah, and when you're doing it really well, it won't be like it'll be a, the more you do it, it'll get easier. And there's a couple more things. So jot this down, whoever is interested in, jotting some of these practices. But meditation, which is a form of like what we did, breathing, but it's for a longer period. I personally love guided meditations where, someone's telling you kind of how to arrange your thoughts before you go into the breathing, and you can do it 5-10 minutes a day. I personally recommend Headspace, just like that, one word, Headspace. It's an app. You can try it free for a couple of different bundles, and it's super easy, really cute, simple videos. So if you want to just get your feet wet into exploring what meditation is, I love that. I recommend a daily devotional. If you're, somebody of faith, if you're Christian, I personally love Jesus Always. Jesus Always is the daily devotional I read right now. And it's beautiful. It just gives you a very loving, great message that you can, read with your coffee every morning. And it just fills up my cup. I think one of the most important things in life and in sustaining your health, mental, emotional, is your connection with God. If, that's your spirituality. Music therapy, whether it's dancing to salsa at home with your significant other or with yourself, listening to music that is upbeat, that helps you feel good, whether it's Tupac or salsa or whatever it is that gets you smiling and makes you want to dance. That is a beautiful way to deal with stress, and get some activity and exercise in. Listening to music, and I mean like healing sounds. You can YouTube hertz, especially 432 hertz. Our body, our blood flow really aligns with music and with water. So listening to sounds that have to do with water or nature will relax you. It'll help you, if you've had a stressful day or just need to kind of reset in the middle of the day, search a YouTube video, 10, 20 minutes, lay down and just really listen to it and let it soothe you. Essential oils, are really good. Exercise and movement, anything in life, cancer itself, it's about stagnant energy, things that doesn't have a flow. We have to get moving, especially right now with being quarantined. We're quarantined, but you can dance, you can go for walks, you can do Zumba online, reading something that is inspirational for you, a book that you've had in mind to read. I personally love, love, love The Four Agreements by Miguel Ruiz. The Four Agreements, really good. 10% Happier, great book. And like I said, searching for someone to speak to, whether it's a therapist, your doctor, a coach, do that. This is time. We need to take advantage of these resources that a lot of people do already. Let's let go of the stigma around that and reach out and be in communication and in conversation vulnerably and authentically with those around us that care about us and want to hear how we're doing, like really how we're doing.
Thank you, Yadi. That was a lot of great resources that people can tap into, and it's just a matter of finding which one fits best for them.
Totally.
And that last one, I believe, is really key of having that support system, somebody to talk to. I think if we all just take an opportunity to be that sponsors, I know it's not AA, but being able to have somebody that we can rely on and speak to is always very beneficial. I know personally, and this is me sharing, I went through some things. I needed people to talk to. I was fortunate enough to get those people to talk to. And every now and then I still talk to people. And I know for a fact that health professions right now are inundated with people trying to speak to counselors, therapists, whatever it may be. So anybody that you absolutely can trust and be open with, I think is a good fit. And Yadi, I want you to share an email, a number, or something that people can reach out to you, that maybe they can take you up on your offer to provide service for them, or to refer them to somebody else.
Yeah, for sure. So you can find me on Facebook or Instagram. I'm as Yadi Valencia Fernandez. And I'm sure on the page, when you post it, I'm linked onto there. You can send me a message. You can also text me or call me. My phone number is 805-509-8966. You're welcome to set up a free call with me to see if this is a fit for you. If you prefer, a different nationality, gender, more comfortable, I have a network of awesome coaches that I can refer you to. Reach out to your doctor if you really feel you're at an advanced stage of dealing with depression or any thoughts of suicide, anything like that. Reach out to your doctor right away.
Okay. Thank you again, Yadi, for joining me and engaging me in this conversation. I know it's not an easy conversation to have, and many times it's a very uncomfortable conversation when dealing with stress, anxiety, depression, and really opening up about feelings. But it is helpful.
Yes.
It really is helpful to be able to open up and speak. and find out who you are. So thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Yadi Valencia Fernandez, a life coach. Please be sure to reach out to her. Check on this feed. We will be posting to her Facebook page and a hyperlink so that you can go ahead and click and reach out to her. And again, her phone number 805-509-8966. You can reach her there so that she can be able to assist you either with her or with somebody else that's a little bit more your comfort level. And please be sure to take advantage of all of those techniques that she mentioned: meditation, daily devotion, music therapy. I know I like to dance it out every so often with my kids. It's always a great little exercise, and they want to do song after song after song. And talking to somebody, reading, exercising, and just really, truly finding who you are during these very difficult times with COVID, the holidays. I believe it's, and maybe you may know or may not know, but I think the third Monday in January is dubbed the Blue Monday, which researchers found that tends to be a lot higher levels of depression, of anxiety, and stress, which I thought was very interesting.
Yeah.
So again, thank you, Yadi, for joining me and providing all the information and engaging in this conversation. Ladies and gentlemen, please be sure to join us next week on December 17th at 4 p.m. as we have Ella Board on, who will be joining us. She is a marketing expert guru that will be helping small businesses to try to reach out, you know, during these COVID times, lockdowns, opens, who knows what's going on, but it'll be able to have your business grow. And she could also be able to provide a little bit of information about how you can even maybe start a business during these COVID times. That is right here on Oxnard Live, all live and 100% real. Thank you again, Yadi. Thank you, everyone, and have a good night.
Bye.